And if you look at the population and the demographics, there are so many lawyers here.
There
And
are.
clearly there's a want, there's a need for that. And I feel as if UTRGV has really branched out in terms of the creation of the medical school
Yes.
and moving towards all of that. I'm hoping, just like you,
Same here. The
that a
connection to
law
law
school.
school.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
crazy being in the Houston area, how many of my fellow classmates, of people at different schools, they were all from the Valley.
Oh,
They had
wow.
come to Houston. It was one of the closer places, and we do have 3 law schools there. So I had friends from high school there. I had friends of friends. I had so many connections from the Valley while I was still in Houston, which was great to have around. And when the pandemic hit, I had all of those friends from law school, all of us studying for the bar here, figuring out which bar we're going to take because they didn't know what was happening at that point. It was a great thing to still have that network while I was here.
That's fantastic. Welcome to Talk the Talk, the most amazing show where we love to highlight our fellow people from the Valley, Latinos that are making moves and doing wonderful things. We have so many creative, talented, incredibly successful people here in the Rio Grande Valley. And our job, our goal is just to highlight you and to show all of the people of the world the wonderful talents that we have here in our area. So thank you so much for joining us. This is the amazing Ricka Tijerina. Lovely to have you today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that very kind introduction.
Oh, girl, I speak the truth. That's all I do.
Love it.
Wonderful. Well, it is amazing to be able to sit and speak with you today. You are so interesting and amazing and really inspiring to me, Ricka. I
Thank
know
you.
I know that I really have not spoken with you other than a few minutes before we started recording. But I was looking you up and I'm really amazed and just I know this probably sounds weird, but I'm so proud of you.
Oh my
I
gosh, thank you.
am like really, I am so proud of you. And you evoke such spirit and such strength. And I love the fact that you are quite young, but you're very motivated. And you seem as if you have a really fantastic work ethic. And a lot of kids, whether they're in the Valley or in Texas or in anywhere in the world, people need to understand that we need to help one another and we need to do what we can to really make the world a better place. And
Absolutely.
you have made moves to actually do that. I feel as if a lot of times we tend to do lip service to that as opposed to actually taking the actions and really going forth and putting our dreams into reality, creating reality from our dreams. And that's what I'm seeing from you and from the things that I've read about you. So can you tell us, let's just kind of begin, can you tell us where you grew up?
So I grew up until about the age of 11, 12, 13 in Mission, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And my family moved here when I started junior high. So I want to say I was about 12 years old to Palmhurst.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
Yes.
And so what was the reason to move to Palmhurst?
I mean, my parents saw this place starting to grow and starting to build, and they thought it was a wonderful place to just continue to build their family. It was a safe place for kids to grow up. It's one of the best parts about being here. It was just time to make a move at that point too. So we ended up here in Palmhurst, and we've been here ever since. And I honestly want to raise my own family here. Like the way that I was raised, I want to see them have that as well.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. It
Yes,
really is. The Valley is such I actually spoke with another attorney, because I know you're an attorney by trade, correct?
correct.
So I spoke with another attorney that's from here in Edinburgh.
Mhm.
And one of the things that he shared is also, like you, just the beauty of the valley and the ability for people to raise a family here,
Mhm.
and how it really has that familial aspect, and that closeness, that tight knit bond of community.
Right.
It's amazing because valley people are all over. Like
True.
it's so funny. I went to school in Florida, and I remember seeing people and being like, "Where are you from?" And, "Oh, I'm from Texas." You would never guess. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, try me, right?" And it was so funny because there were people that, "Oh yeah, well I have that family from Harlingen. Oh, I'm from McAllen
Mhm.
or whatnot." And there wasn't anybody from Edinburgh or anybody that I knew, but it was very comforting to have a few people at least that were from the area.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. But I feel like we all, no matter where we go, still consider the Valley home, especially the students that are there. We all know we're going to end up back here. That's why there's so many lawyers.
well, that's fantastic.
Yes, and I'm lucky enough to work for a firm that has an office in Westlaco and in Houston. So I get to go back and forth, but I spend the majority of my time here because I'm the one attorney that has a free place that I live in to be able to go to hearings and stuff like that. So it's been really good to have that flexibility. I can do Houston hearings from Zoom too. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
all been aligned for me to come back home during COVID, even though it was a little bit earlier than I planned. Find that job that allowed me to stay here. My parents and my grandparents throughout COVID, I was a big part of helping them out just because they were higher risk for everything.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that just like really solidified, like, well, it's a little bit early, but I'm back.
And that's fantastic. You already have your roots. You knew where you wanted to end up, and
Again.
that's beautiful. It truly, truly is. So, you are a mayoral candidate,
I
correct?
am. Yes, correct.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That is
Thank
a
you.
wonderful, wonderful thing. So, what was the catalyst for that?
So, I went to undergraduate school in New York City. I double majored in political science and media criticism and analysis. I
Ooh.
always knew that I know it sounds really intense, but it's basically that was my way of saying I want to be a campaign manager. I
Ah,
want
okay.
to help out in campaigns how I can. I wanted to get my law degree and use that and whatever else that I could bring to the table. But when this special election came about, I guess I just hadn't realized that whenever it's something that you really care about or somewhere that you really care about, you want to do all that you can. And I know that Palmhurst has so much potential that something or someone new in office could help bring some of that stuff around.
That's beautiful. That's
Yes.
beautiful. And it's wonderful that you're bringing that's actually I not to bring it up again, but that I spoke with another person that was also an attorney that went elsewhere for school,
Mhm.
obviously. But he and I had also mentioned that it's interesting because you leave the valley and you get a different perspective of things. And
Absolutely.
so, being in New York City, I'm sure that really broadened your horizon, because if you think of the valley is so unique. We're
Mhm.
so unique, and we have such a specific little microcosm of culture that's just it's insulated from
Yes,
the
exactly
rest
right.
of the United States, from the rest of
Mhm.
Texas, really. And so for that reason, we are this beautiful blend of tradition, but we also have a lot of young people. So there is a lot of change, right? And then there's
Right.
also that cultural aspect, and there's the Texan and the Mexican and there's just this beautiful little tapestry of culture that we have here that is so unique to the area. And especially in the area of Palmhurst, you
Mhm.
have your own unique little little community that has its own aspects, its own little facets. It's a diamond. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing because you going off to school in an area like New York City, you're able to see what's been implemented there. And that is so fascinating. Media criticism. I
Mhm.
mean, I've heard communications. I mean, I myself am a political science major. I have a degree in political
Awesome.
science. So,
Okay.
yes. So I have a degree in political science. So I've heard political science, but I've never heard media criticism. And that's a fabulous thing, I think, as somebody that is entering politics, to be able to be aware of not only you bringing in a new perspective to an area, but seeing the perspectives through which others may see you and being aware
Absolutely.
of that.
And so to like go back to the first part of what you said,
Mhm.
my entire family is here, both on my mom's side, which is they're from Iowa. They moved down here to get into the citrus business, and so
Okay.
they're all here now. And my dad's side of the family, which they're originally from Mexico, mostly Rio Grande City is where they grew up. And they're all here as well. So I have the entire family to come back to whenever I come
Wow.
home. And it is a great thing that Palmhurst is such a small, tight knit community. Everyone knows each other somehow, or they know their uncle, or they know their kid, or they know someone in the family. But going to school in New York City, especially, there were people from all over the world. So I got to meet people who I definitely had to explain what the valley was and had to explain what it's like to be down here. I would tell them, like, well, it's on the border of Mexico. It's way down south. Have you heard of South Padre Island? Just because college students, that's the one place they'll maybe recognize.
Mhm.
Um, but it would be so difficult to explain. Like, I can drive to Mexico in about 10-15 minutes if I want to. But at the same time, my community we're all from the valley. That's just what we are. It doesn't matter where your family's from. We just have like our own identity. So explaining that was always interesting when I got to. And like you said, I would meet people who are like, oh no, I know there. My cousins are living down there. They say it's great. Someone's in Harlingen. I met a woman just last week that was like, oh, my whole family's from Harlingen. So yeah,
It's so funny. I love the fact that you mentioned that you were trying to explain, well, I mean, the border is about 20 minutes away. I can go back and forth in a day. Again, that's something that's so unique to this area. I know you mentioned South Padre Island.
mm-hmm.
I would mention South Padre Island, and there were a couple of people, oh, yeah, okay. And other people would be like, okay, South Texas and the border, El Paso? Like, no, that's like 10 hours away. And my favorite thing to do was this. I'd be like, all right, there's a little point in Texas. So here's El Paso, here's the Rio Grande Valley.
Right at the very bottom. I got San Antonio quite a bit, which I thought was
Yes.
interesting.
Yes. And it's like, no, 3 hours south, there's more south
Uh-huh.
of San Antonio.
Exactly. Texas is big. Don't mess with us. But it's definitely
Absolutely.
true that going out and being able to do school in different areas, even when it was going to Houston for law school, I was always in classes with people who were very politically engaged. So having discussions with them on how they saw things, how they did things in their towns. I remember one time, like the discussion of gun ownership came up in one of my political science classes in New York City where guns are basically completely
No guns.
illegal.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know people who have quite a few in their house. And I mentioned a number that was like 34. And they were like, what? Are you kidding me?
They're like, are
So,
these militia people? Like their
exactly.
concept is completely
Mhm.
different.
Like, no, they just like to go hunting and they collect. That's pretty much what's going on there. Nothing to be concerned about. Don't worry. But it brought back, especially when I came back during COVID, I saw the way that things were being run in Palmhurst very differently. Um, I was shocked to find out that the only way that they were putting out notices for the most part was on a bulletin board that you had to drive through to see. They don't have a website that is actively used to put out our curfews or the lockdown changes that were happening. I felt like at that point it was on the daily. So I just felt that why do we have this website that's from 2012 according to its copyright if we're not going to even use it to provide critical information to our residents? And to this day, we are still not posting very much on there. You'll have occasionally the meeting that happens every third Tuesday or Monday, I believe. But they'll call things and not post on the internet about it. It'll just be on that bulletin board. So if you're not driving by every day, you might miss something. So I think that things like meeting minutes, any sort of agendas, I believe the agendas are sometimes on there for the most part, but audits, financial documents, where is our tax money going? You have to file a Public Information Act request to do that at this point. And I think that we might be one of the, if not the only city in the Rio Grande Valley that is still not either live streaming their minutes or you can easily access them on the websites. So that's one thing that I really want to bring into it, because every city, especially after COVID, people not being able to attend meetings in person, they switched over to Zoom just so that you had that option. And we never have. So I really want to bring that in for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I noticed your website is very comprehensive. Your website is very comprehensive. I really, really liked it. It was very user friendly. It
I
was
designed
very,
it, so thank you.
well, you did a great job. You did a great
Thank
job.
you.
I mean, you really put your skills to work. That's I feel that that's a very good reflection of the things that you not only have observed, but that you've learned. And I'm positive that your experience and your schooling is something that contributes
That
to
media
very
criticism
much.
counted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a teacher and I have a master's degree and I'm go on websites and it's like, good golly, Miss Molly, I can't find anything. And you would think that it would be here, but it's not here. And I'm not lacking in web knowledge or computer savvy. I had to go through the same thing that everybody else did with the pandemic and teaching online and all of that
Mhm.
fabulousness. And even
Yeah.
to this day, yeah, exactly. And even to this day, there are things that I've seen on particular websites from other entities, obviously, that are not the most friendly. And so I was very impressed with yours in that it was very clear, it was very easy to navigate. And so I would imagine for a populace that is not used to attaining their information via a website, that would be a very good blueprint
Mhm.
to be utilized, because again, it was very clear, it was very comprehensive. And I noticed that a lot of your advocacy is for transparency in
Absolutely.
government.
We need it. It's just something that is that simple. It impacts all of our lives. Again, tax dollars where they're being spent. So, I'll build the website myself if they'd like me to. Zero cost to the city. But I just think that that's something that really needs to happen, no matter the outcome of the election. Because as a resident of Palmhurst, I want to know what is happening behind closed doors, and I just feel like at this point we don't have that access. City Hall has been very behind closed doors. Meetings happen while people are mostly at work as well. So things like that are just really kind of barriers to letting their citizens know what they're doing to help them. And otherwise, just there's no way to know unless you want to wait 10 days, which they will take that full 10 days, even if the information is right in front of them. So
Political science and bureaucracy, my friend. But and you really think about it, I am positive that you've probably had to address this a few times, but in terms of your age, you are young.
I
And
am young.
that is it. I feel that that is a benefit because when you look at our populace, people, the young people inherit essentially. And
Exactly.
how do your residents, even 40 and below, really, I mean,
Mhm.
not in their 20s and their 30s, how do we communicate online? How do we research things online? I'm a mad Googler. I'm a crazy Googler. My poor husband can't watch a movie without me being like, what other choices did this actor make? And oh, I need to see who directed this. Oh, that's an interesting script. Let's take a look at that. I am terrible. I am constantly trying to research things and look things up. I have a hunger for knowledge. And if you think about it, those of us that have grown up in this digital world are used to that. And
Exactly.
your observation of what you have identified as a lack of transparency seems to come from, again, a generation that is used to information at your fingertips.
Exactly. And I feel like my platform on transparency has only been strengthened throughout this campaign. There were a few other, or one other candidate initially that was running on a transparency platform. Now a few others are saying it as well. But I think that the way that if you drive down any of the streets in Palmhurst right now, it just seems a little strange that City Hall has like handpicked a candidate and they're putting all this energy into him, and they're not putting that same energy into our city, it would seem sometimes. I don't know where they find the time to, at least with all these things going on. So as this election has progressed and seeing how the Freedom or the Public Information Act actually works when it comes to Palmhurst, it's ridiculous. Citizens should not have to request this information. They are entitled to have this information. And if we can have something so simple as a website to do that, why aren't we doing it? Why haven't we updated it since 2012? That's 10 years ago. And platforms have definitely changed. Very easy to do drag and drop. Like, it's not the most difficult thing to upload meeting minutes and stuff like that. So that's definitely the first thing that I want to do. But also just seeing how City Hall has been run, I'm very curious to know what else is happening and what else needs to be let known to the citizens. So yeah, that's definitely a top priority of mine.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And again, I really need to reiterate, you are a empowered person. You are an empowered young woman that is ready to change the world. So I've got to give it, I mean, I'm a mom. I've got 3 boys. And so I've got to say, I got to give it to your mom. I've got to give it to your dad. I've got to give it to your family. I really do, because it takes strong people to raise somebody that's going to say, no, I see something wrong. I'm going to call it out. I'm going to make it my mission, even if whatever the results are, I
Mhm.
want change.
I do.
And I think that's beautiful. And seeing that, I've got to say, who are your role models?
Who are
Who,
my role models? My
yeah.
mom, for sure. She has been a hardworking woman, well, since the day I met her. Probably way before that
Well,
as
you've
well.
known her your whole life, so that
Yes.
says something.
I love her so much. She's been so supportive. She's also been calling herself the voice of reason in all of this, because she's um not as intense sometimes as the rest of my family members. I have 3 older brothers as well. So they're, of course, they are my role models. They've done so great. My dad has been the biggest help that I've ever seen. But I would say role models, I take a lot from the legal world. And of course, Ginsburg, she talks about burning the candle at both ends of the stick. Yes. While she was in law school helping her husband out, who was also sick. And I feel like, being both an attorney and running this campaign and everything, I've also been doing a little both ends of the stick, not on her level, props to her, but just having that work ethic is something that I've really always admired and I hope to achieve myself. Yeah,
Well, it looks like you're going that way.
I'm doing
Without
my
a doubt.
best to. Yes.
It looks like you're going that way, really. And I really hope that our younger viewers are able to see you and are able to take take steps from you and to feel emboldened and to feel confident. What was your impetus for saying other than frustration? Because I know there's so many people that are out there that are frustrated with various aspects of their lives. However, not all of them take a step to put themselves out there the way you have and to say, you know what, I'm going to run this thing. I'm going to find a way to make these changes. If nobody else is going to do it, here I am. So what gave you that impetus to do so?
Well, having the opportunity for this special election coming up, and I just kind of felt, if not me, then who? If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. So that kind of thing just really made me feel, like I said, I never really saw myself as a candidate, but I had to do it at that point. And my parents were both like, well, you're going to get a lot of criticism about lack of experience, your age, but I think that is my strong suit. I think that what I lack in experience in politics, I make up for in education. And the only thing that politics teaches you is how to be a politician, and I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
So I think there should be more people that are running for office that care more about the next generation than they do about the next election. I think there should be more people running that care more about the protection of their communities than the protection of their seat. And I want to be that person. And I've had so many people my age reach out to me that it's been truly inspiring. It's made me feel like, okay, maybe we will have a lot of younger candidates or just candidates who don't see themselves as a politician, but see that they can do it either way. If you see a problem, go out and do something about it.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I love that.
Thank
I
you.
really, really love that. People that care about their community more than their seat, their political seat. I really love that. That's beautiful. I, as a political scientist as well as a fellow political scientist, that was definitely something that when I was in school and even now as a teacher, with my students, I've talked about. It's difficult when you try to, from the outside looking in, kind of navigate that mire that is politics in so many ways. And so often the message or the goal and the drive is kind of overshadowed by so much of the politics of
Yes.
the situation. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I feel like your age, your fresh look, your fresh new perspective, your ability to be able to actually relate to a lot of what is probably becoming the majority of your community, the younger generation is definitely a boon.
It is. And I know that I want to say I've seen websites that say our median age is already in the 30s. So we're getting to a point where we're going to have a lot of Palmhurst residents having a lot of Palmhurst resident babies. And all of these things that are being done in city council now, we're going to inherit whatever is left from that. So I just want, not only for my family, but for all my friends' future families, my future family as well too, by the way. But I want to be able to make sure that what we inherit isn't just so outdated, and the slew of kind of like the old boys club is what I would always hear it referred to from my law school professors. Oh, you're from Hidalgo County, that good old boys club down there.
Oh golly, don't tell me that's how they see us.
I mean, I would say it's probably been a few years since they've been down here too. Because I know Nori just won admission. I feel like this is a year of women being elected into office, and I think it's so inspiring. I'm so happy for her, and I hope that we can see the same in Palmhurst soon.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I agree. I feel that it's, you know what, it is the year. It's it's not the year. It is a turning point in that it is the time now for women to come into office and to come into their own. And not just women, but young women, really.
Yes,
Young
absolutely.
women. And you are making a name for yourself. You are a trailblazer. You are definitely an inspiration that I am probably going to speak to my students about, because
I'd love to come speak to them as well if you'd like.
oh my God, I would love it. I would love it. I would love it. I teach freshmen, and sometimes I feel as if culturally we're caught in that dichotomy of being traditional, but also trying to fight for our own position. And our roles have changed. The reality is our roles have changed. And as women, very often we tend to be, even now, and it's funny that you mentioned the old boys club, because even now, whether you're in the Valley or in Texas or larger areas, there does tend to be that, oh, let me defer to the male counterpart, or
Yes.
let me see, oh, who's the older male that we can talk to. It's like, no, that would be me that you're speaking with. That's okay. Yeah, I have no problems discussing this. This will be fine. You can address me. And it's interesting because that shouldn't be the case.
I agree.
It really shouldn't.
And I feel like ninth grade, that's a turning point in your life, no matter what way you look at it. But definitely let young people know that, hey, you guys can go out and do things once you're out of high school, 18. But you guys have
you know what?
While you're in this educational place in your life, like, take advantage of it so you can use this in the future, because you guys have limitless futures and you guys can make those changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even in school, I had a student that literally campaigned to our administration in terms of, like, at the district level. She campaigned about how students need more sleep and a later start time and things of that nature. I mean, she came with scientific studies. She came with research, like really thorough research, scientific medical research. And she had a presentation, she had evidence, she created an argument. And guess what? Our district decided to change the start times. And that's a young lady that literally made a difference. She sat there and she said, I've got to make a change. And I speak of her, and I've spoken of others that have tried to make differences. But that the young lady, oh God, my mind is spacing. Greta, the climate activist. Yes, you know who I'm talking about, right?
I do.
I'm gonna have to Google her last name.
I can't remember her last name right now.
I'm trying to remember it right now. I see her face in my mind. She's only like 17 or 18, right?
But she is powerful.
And she's incredibly powerful. And it's like, you should not allow anybody to tell you that your age, your gender, your belief structure, anything is going to be something that will hinder you or something that will limit you. I talk about Malala, and you know what? I'm going to talk about Ricka.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to talk about Ricka.
I feel like as a candidate, I've just told myself, just because it's how I think of myself, what I am right now is just a candidate. I am not a woman. I'm not young. I am someone here that is a resident who is concerned about the way that Palmhurst is heading and wants to make a difference. And as long as you just tell yourself, I am powerful, I can do this, and do something about it, then you're good to go. Just be confident in yourself, what you're capable of, and the future is yours.
That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on with us.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And again, if you ever want your students, I'll be happy to come speak to them as well. And if you ever want to have me on the podcast again, you are so fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it has been my honor and my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mine
Have a
as
wonderful
well.
evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.